The radioactive cloud from Chernobyl affected many countries in Eastern and Western Europe.
Only 2 lives.
One of the worst disasters in the history of nuclear power.
The Chernobyl Disaster. One of the worst, if not the worst, nuclear accident ever to happen in the history of humankind. The catastrophe unrolls in the Pripyat, northern Ukraine, former Soviet Union. This place is said to be uninhabitable for at least 2,000 years. A once buzzing neighborhood is now an empty, soulless, abandoned city. How do nuclear power stations work? Nuclear fission in the reactor produces a lot of heat energy which is used to convert water into steam at a high pressure. This steam then turns to steam turbines and rotates the turbine in the generator to produce electrical energy. Energy change. Nuclear energy, heat energy, kinetic energy, and electrical energy. The Chernobyl nuclear power plant consisted of 4 RBMK 1000 reactors, each capable of producing 1000 megawatts MW of electric power, 3200 MW of thermal power, and the 4 together produced about 10% of Ukraine's electricity at the time of the disaster. Construction of the plant and the nearby city of Pripyat to house workers and their families began in 1970. Several factors played a major role in this mishap. It was a combination of design flaw, the instructions were evidently not clear, and simultaneously because of an inexperienced personnel. The test was supposed to measure how long the spinning generator would continue producing electricity after the reactor was shut down before it slowed and stopped. The test was to happen with the reactor at low power. Sadly, it was an utter debacle. This led to a humongous explosion. Firefighters were rushing on the scene trying to put out the series of blazes, but failed to put out the roaring crater. Eventually, sand was dumped over the flame by a helicopter. Unfortunately, a cloud of radioactive particles and gases, such as iodine-131, cesium-134, cesium-137, and also strontium-90, infected countries in the northern hemisphere. Alas, the catastrophe took the lives of 2 reactor operating staff. In this disaster, and instantaneously, the firemen and 134 station staff who were one of the first on the scene was hospitalized and was infected by acute radiation syndrome, ACR. People who are exposed with the radiation also experience harmful effects to this day. The wind carries the contaminated sand and it maneuvered in the atmosphere of the exclusion zone, of which unintentionally become a spreader to the citizen of Pripyat. Thousands of people were rushed to evacuate. They were informed lightly as if they were going out for a picnic, and that it was a temporary evacuation. But as we know now, that is miles away from the truth. Radioactive atoms can exist in 2 forms, ionizing and non-ionizing. If exposed with an ionizing radiation for even a short period of time, it can lead to harmful disease such as ARS. In this case, one of the most dangerous elements that was released was iodine, having a half-life of 8 days. Meanwhile, strontium, 29 years, and 30 years was cesium. What is half-life, you might ask? Half-life is the time taken for an element to decrease to half of its original number. The word radioactive may exude some sort of dangerous depiction, but no, don't falsely paint it. Radioactive actually have several uses in fields like agriculture, defense, medicine, archaeology, geochronology, industries. Chernobyl, tourists are curious about this intriguing place. Pripyat, it is an empty ghost town blanketed with overgrown trees weaving into the deserted place. Everything that's left has not been touched since the cleanup and rather shaped into a walking museum now. Simultaneously, animals and also nature are thriving. There you can witness propaganda posters, books, and statues that were released in the 80s. The silence around this place is just deafening. That's all I have for Chernobyl. Hope you enjoyed.